got it going. With the spin of the wheel, we'll cover our fate and scream it to you on one take. We tend to be loud and we fight quite a bit, but it's an unscripted show, so you get what you get. If we stopped it right now and we just walked away, we'd be back here next week, cause we just can't wait to play.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to an exciting ARG event. That's right, we're back. After a 27-week hiatus, we're back in action. I'm your good buddy, your good pal, Amigo Aaron, joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the guy in the trucker hat. It's the Brent.
What? Why do you always rag on the hat, man?
I don't, well,
If you don't like the hat, get me another one.
Really?
Yeah.
Of each hat of my choice?
Well, no, it has to be a baseball cap.
Oh, okay. Well,
Or one of those bucket hats. I would wear one of those too.
what about one of those Russian hats, the furry ones that with the
Well, it's summer, so no.
Oh, okay. Well, fine. Anyway, this is not hat review, although it could be. It's ARG Presents. And this week, Brent, after a several-week hiatus, we're back in action. Sorry about that, ARG fans. We had some stuff come up, so we sort of like glossed over that episode. But now we're bringing it back. 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, we spun the wheel. We made the deal. And the deal was Chat Choice, our favorite, Brent's personal favorite.
I love the chat.
And after picking randomly, we selected games from the Pico 8 as requested by Happy Coding ZX. Brent, what did you know before, I don't know, a week or two ago about the Pico 8? Had you heard of the Pico 8?
Well, I'd actually heard, I thought it was Pico 7. I was unaware that they moved on.
What? Are you just joking? Or are you seriously dumb?
No, there is a Pico 7.
Oh, well, I've never heard of that. You know, I knew of the Pico 8 from our sister show on this channel,
Pretty sure there's a Pico 7.
Pixel Gaiden, who've harped about this thing ad nauseum, but I'd never played any games for it.
Yeah.
And I looked into it. I thought I would inform and delight, Brett, if you're interested in learning something about the Pico 8, because I didn't know anything about it.
Wait, you learned?
Well, I tried.
All right, fair enough.
By learn, I mean rip stuff off for other websites until I figured out. That's how I learned, by cheating. So the Pico 8, what is this? Well,
I know.
Go ahead.
It is a gaming programming language that is very lightweight. It keeps things very small.
No, but
All right.
sorta. You're sort of right. Half credit.
Bam!
Pico 8 is what's described as a fantasy console.
Oh, well, I didn't know we were going that broad. Yes.
Oh, yeah. This is the kind of broad I'm into. So,
Yeah, a fantasy one.
according to the fact, a fantasy console is like a regular console, but without the inconvenience of actual hardware. I love that line. So Pico 8 is basically, like you said, sort of like a language that was dreamed up by a fellow and put into service. And what makes it popular to program in is because they have a stringent set of requirements to program in on purpose. And so here's how this thing all went down. Joseph White, who was also known by the nickname Zepp, started work on a BBC basic-styled basic interpreter that he called Lex 500. Joseph later returned to Lex 500 while working on another game engine called the Voxatron. And so eventually, during development, he switched from basic to Lua 2 syntax as the latter was easier and more capable. Then he added some extra built-in tools, including a music tracker and a map editor, and he named this concoction of development tools the Pico 8. And so the Pico 8 is sort of like the palette of a C64, the 4-channel tracking of a Amiga 500, and then they add this in, the aesthetics from other 80s hardware such as an Apple and a Famicom. I was interested. I thought to myself, what is the closest real-life system to the parameters of what they... Now, let me read the parameters to you, and you can tell me which system comes closest, okay?
Okay.
Display is 128 by 128 with 16 fixed color palette, okay? So that means 16 colors. It can accept inputs for a 6-button controller. The carts for this make-believe system would be 32K It's 4-channel sound. The code is P8 Lua, which we mentioned. The CPU is a 4M VM, and you get 128, a single bank of 128 8x8 sprites. And the memory map is 128 by 32. What system does that closest resemble?
Mega Duck.
No. If that was the answer, I would give you a trophy. It's not. From what I read, the closest system that comes anywhere near these stats is the Game Boy Color, of all things, which actually sort of makes sense, I guess, a lot of that.
I think Mega Duck's pretty good.
So here's the big question. Is Pico 8 free? The answer is sorta. It's a resounding sorta. So the cost of Pico 8 to play it on the web, totally free, which is what we did. You can load up any browser, go to a web page, and play all the games, okay? If you're a student, it's free. If you're a student. If you're not a student and you want to have this to play without a browser in your Windows or a Linux box, or you want to have it play on your Raspberry Pi or whatever, it's $15. $15 gives you access to the full features and controls, future updates, etc. And they update this quite a bit, I've read. So that's what you're looking at. So
more than a fair price.
Well, $15? Yeah, well, we'll get into that. So now let's talk about the concept of the Pico 8, which is what I want to talk about in the first place. When I heard about the Pico 8, what it was, I thought to myself, my God, this is one stupid idea. And the reason I thought that is that if anyone knows about a million different systems, it's us. We've played a ton of different systems. Handhelds, consoles, computers, kit computers, like crap you never heard of. And there are many of these computers from yesteryear that no one touches. Competent computers that don't get much love or action.
Sure.
And I thought to myself, why would these people who want to test themselves in a restricted way to program this stuff, why wouldn't they just program for one of the existing systems? That way people could benefit from their toiling.
Ooh, I know the answer.
Oh, there is no answer because I'm right. But I still think that.
No.
It doesn't make any sense to me why you would make up a system to play with when there are a million other systems that they're fully emulated that you can program on, mess around on, and then the community could have access to all the cool stuff you made. With that said,
I disagree.
Well,
go ahead.
We'll get to you. But having played a whole slew of the games this week, I will say this. I cannot fault this setup in terms of producing excellent quality games. This non-machine fantasy console, whatever you want to call it, there are plenty of excellent titles out there, and more coming every day.
Yeah.
And the incredible reception, the incredible output of the games for this thing tell me that it has been widely accepted and embraced. People really enjoy it. People sell games for it now. Mm-hmm. For the most part, they were free, but now people are trying to make a buck on them. Good luck to you. So I'm okay with, clearly the people have spoken, but it does make me kind of sad when you've got actual, factual consoles and computers out there that really need the love, that could really use the notoriety to have people kind of move over and start toiling on their machine that just sit there like getting no action. Your thoughts?
I understand what you're saying, and I don't completely disagree. However,
that means you agree.
You are asking a field of what I would presume are younger programmers to pick up a programming language that on some systems they would never ever have touched or would ever benefit from outside of the one thing that they're making, which I think is a tall ask. I would assume that the programming language for the Pico 8, having no programming knowledge of my own, is probably very developer friendly. Whereas something like, just to pull a random thing out of the air, I don't know, the Odyssey 2, probably not friendly to program on. So I would say that has a lot to do with it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I did consider the fact that there are developer tools that are ready to go, and this thing that does have a reputation to be easy to work with, and so that's fair. Like I said, people do what they want. I'm not here to crap on your gimmick, but we've seen that outfit out of Japan that's going around and making all these games for all these computers. And I hold these guys in a high regard because they're like the Johnny Appleseed of gaming. They're sprinkling it around. How many games came out last year for the Aquarius, for example? I mean, there are plenty of machines out there that really could use the love, and they're capable. Like I said, they mentioned that this was a very close equivalent to like the Game Boy Color. If you want that sort of restriction, there are any number of restrictions up and down the line. We've been talking about the ZX Next. There it sets. Why not program on this? It's the same thing. I'm sure it's not. It's got friendly developer.
I'm sure
now,
it
granted,
has
this has been around longer than the ZX Next has, so I'll give you that. But you can see my point. I'm torn when it comes to getting this over. But I mean, one thing about it is the Pico 8 has a lot of fans.
It does.
And so I've seen people making little consoles for it and stuff. And the fact that they don't make you pay to play on the web is good. What do you think about the pay $15 to use this on your machine? Because generally we're cheap when it comes to this stuff. What do you think about that? It's the browser thing gives it a different slant, doesn't it?
I think that them asking for $15 is more of a listen. We all know if you don't want to pay this $15, you're going to go get this somewhere else. But if you appreciate what we're doing, here's an easy way to pay $15, feel good about it, and get all the back end stuff and extra features and updates. I think that's what that really is.
Yeah, it's an odd thing because there's someone out there assumably getting paid, presumably the people that made the game, made the OS.
The system, yeah.
And this is not the only fantasy console. In fact, this one's split from another one. But Pico 8's been around for just a little over 10 years. I believe it was 10 years ago in April is the very first version came out. So by now, it's a fairly tenured development tool, fantasy console. It's funny, though, because as tenured as it is, having looked through the games, there are plenty of great games that came out pretty early on the Pico 8. And I mean, like I said, I think I ran through about 21 games on the live stream the other night. So I've gotten a good cross section of games. And I could say, I mean, they're not all winners, but probably 80% were winners.
Yeah.
And some were big winners, as we'll get to.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Aaron, I think unless you have some more to add, I think we should get right
into it.
Now, I wanted to lead the dance here because I'm excited to talk about what we've got, or what I have, more particular.
You're not excited about my stuff at all, are you?
Not as much, I won't lie. But I chose, and after doing a little bit of searching, a little bit of digging, a little bit of getting in there and getting my hands dirty, and one thing about the Pico 8 is you have a lot of people who do arcade games, arcade translations.
D-makes, I believe, is a very popular thing.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
But I wanted something a little more original.
Are you a D-make guy? And just be honest, because I'm not necessarily a D-make guy unless you bring something new to the table.
Right.
I don't see
yeah. I mean, as I've said a dozen times on this show, if I want to play the arcade version of something, it's different now. I can just play the arcade version of something.
I will say this before you get into it, before we close up with D-makes. One of the first games I played here was a Berserk clone.
It was good.
All right. They added pickups. They had great voice. That, I'm down with that. Because you're adding something significant to the game that makes it more fun. That's not even what I call a D-make.
No,
that's just an advancement of the game.
Yes.
I'm all for that sort of
yes,
stuff.
I agree. But I wanted something, at least I felt was original. And I came across Pigments, released in 2020 by a fellow named Benjamin Soul. I don't have an exact date on when this was done. This was his entry for the Disc Room Jam, which is one of those, let's all
Game jam.
yeah. Spend 30 days or 20 days or 2 days or however many days and put a game together. This was one of his entries into one of those jams. And normally those games kind of run the gamut. You can tell a lot of them are either not fully fleshed out because they didn't have time, or they're kind of rehashing. They're taking a concept and maybe tweaking it a little bit, but it's a rehash.
Yeah.
This, completely different.
This is a different sort of game. I'll give you that.
In Pigments, you play as fruit. What?
You're not wrong.
What? You play as fruit.
You do.
When you first start out, you are an apple. And you... What?
Everything for it costs hundreds of dollars more than anything else. Go ahead.
You play as a red apple. And your job is to take your juice and cover the different spots on the screen.
That's not your job. Your job is to get dipped in that pigment and do it. You don't use your own juice.
Well,
you're making it sound dirty the way you play. There's pigment right there. You've got to run through it. It's like ink.
Say it is. See, you play.
What is wrong with you?
You play as different fruit, but you pick up power-ups basically that allow you to paint different squares.
It's pigment. It's not a power-up.
This is a up, down, left, right game. That's all you really have to worry about. Each stage is a grid. It's about a 15 by 20 grid, a little bit taller than it is wide.
It's like 12 by 12.
And
like
every time you pick up one of your pigment power-ups to paint more of the screen, a new saw blade appears. And the saw blades don't have AI. They simply bounce off of the walls in their given path and will, if you run into them, you die. Well, the gotcha at all this is your pigment will only paint about 20 squares. And then you have to pick up another pigment, which means you have to have another saw blade spawn. This sounds ridiculous. It sounds easy. But the way they get you is the saw blades only move, with a little bit of a caveat, when you move. So the action isn't Fast and Furious, but it is. This is a hard game to explain. The saw blades will always move at a very, very reduced speed. But when you take your action, it's like they take their action as well. But since they're only bouncing off, the normal saw blades are only bouncing off the walls, you always know where they're going, right? There's no hidden information. You can always track where they are on the screen. So if you see one coming, you should be able to say, okay, I know this one's coming down right now. If I hop 2 squares to the left, I'm going to get chopped in half, right? So you don't do that. But you need about 10 or 12 of those pigment pickups, and I think there's a maximum of 8 of the silver saw blades on the screen, which makes things incredibly hectic.
I think you could have even more than that in a later level.
Well, there are some, and I'm going to get into that. There are some that are there by default.
Yeah.
So you say, why do you play an apple? Well, why of that fruit? Well, after you get so far, you get a score. When you die, you'll get a score. And as your score goes up, you unlock different fruits. And every fruit is its own stage with its own rule set. What do I mean by that? Well, for example, the apple stage, which is, I would say it's the easiest stage.
Yeah.
You have a border around all of your play area that you can go to that is safe. The saw blades won't hit it. And you don't spend your pigment by jumping on the safe zones. And every time that you pick up a droplet, you get more pigment to put down than you do from the other fruits. So the apple is kind of your starting stage. And you try to fill in the entire screen to 100%. There's also watermelons, which are larger fruit. And the gimmick on their stage is there's water that you can jump in. And if you're in the water, the saw blades can't hurt you. But as you're running around the water, you're also losing pigment. There's also oranges, bananas, coconuts, and kiwis, all of which have their own unique spin. Some start with saw blades. Some have a unique mechanic to where if you when you step on a button, it changes the AI of the saw blades, and all the saw blades point at you at that time, and then they start heading towards you. So each of the 6 different stages is fairly unique. Apple and watermelon are kind of the same, but everything else is pretty on their own. And you basically play this for high score to see if you can get 100% of each stage on each fruit.
You can't.
You,
by the way, I never come close to getting on anything on any stage.
What does this game do so right? This is one of the ultimate I'll just play one more time games. Games usually take, even if you take your time and you're being very careful, a full game of Pigments will take you 4 minutes.
Yeah, it can take far less, too.
It can. The graphics on it are top flight for what it is. You can tell where the walls are. You can tell where the saw blades are. The fruits look like the fruits they're supposed to represent. When they get cut in half, it does kind of a neat animation of it splitting apart. It's very dramatic for a fruit death. What is? And the pigments you put down fill in the squares. I kind of wish it would have drawn a picture. It would have been more picturesque as you were putting down the pigments. I don't think
that's a sequel. Yeah, that's a good idea.
But every bit of this game looks so easy. Why can't I beat this stage? I'm just going to play one more time. And that's what draws you into this game. And boy, once you sit down and you get a couple games under your belt, you want to just keep on playing. Even as I'm watching the footage play back, I want to play right now. Aaron, what did you think of Pigments?
Well, it's an interesting game.
And this is a puzzle game. Wouldn't you call it an action puzzler?
No.
Okay, what would you call this?
Because I don't think it really has a puzzle element.
It definitely has a puzzle
element.
element.
What it reminded me of, I mean, there's some obvious things that you could say it reminds you of.
Okay.
Like, now, when I say reminds me of, it's not the same, but it has a similar gameplay element of something like Kicks.
That is the closest thing I would call it.
Or yes. Amador. It's like if Amador and Kicks had a son. Because, well, I mean, what are you doing in Amador?
A fruity son.
If in Amador, you're covering the maze. Yeah, and in this, you're trying to get the percentage. Without it doesn't have the trapping thing like Kicks, but it's sort of the same. This game is an oddball. It really is, because when you're playing it, like he said, the saw blades can be anywhere on the screen, but inevitably, it seems like they're always coming directly at you.
Even though they're not, unless you hit one of the buttons.
Well, I don't know how the saw stuff works exactly. I don't know if they are sort of kind of at an angle coming at you.
They're just bouncing around
the screen,
but they're
always
man.
Up in your business.
They are.
And so if you think to yourself, well, I'm just going to knock this out, you're not going to knock it out. It's hard. These things are always up in your business. And, I mean, I will say, the more you play it, you will get better, although you will have games where you get killed instantly because you made one screw up. And, when I say instantly, I mean early on.
If you are brave, you are dead.
Yeah. This game, I tried several different fruits. I did not... It does have a one more go element to it because the games are so quick. And it's a simple game. The button does nothing. It's all moving
all
around.
Up, down, left, right.
I'm not gonna poo-poo the game.
No, you can't. It's too good.
But I think it's pretty good. It's okay.
It's really good.
But I mean, it's a simple game, really. When you but it's a difficult game. It's very simple and very difficult, and there's not a ton. You're not going to spell bonus. You're not going to earn extra men because there really are no men. You're not going to get at least nothing I saw where you're going to turn the table and the blades. There's no element of point pressing. There's none of that. You just complete as much of the maze as you can, and then you move on. The more saw blades there are, the more likely you are going to get killed. Sometimes and often won't see it coming. So it can be an incredibly frustrating game that will make you. Sometimes the game gets go away heat because you just get so mad at it, which it did for me. I never managed to clear a whole floor. Not ever.
Right.
I think the highest I got was like 72%.
I think my highest was like 96, which that is painful.
You always die. Always. So you basically just pretend you have this like on your personal console or whatever. You're the guy playing it. The scores are always yours, and that's the way it's going to be. There is no rule. I mean, I don't think there is a game over, is there? You just finish.
Well, you die.
Right, but I mean, it's not like you have 3 minutes. You just keep going.
Oh no, you play once. You either complete the level or you die, and then you choose a new thing.
I thought this was. I mean, having played a ton of games there, I thought this was probably Midland of the ones I played, but I thought it was a pretty decent game. It's okay. It's a weird combination of slow but too fast. It's the odd combination of easy but ridiculously difficult. So it's a very odd game. But I thought it was a pretty interesting game. I like to have seen the gameplay fleshed out with a little more, if I'm honest. But I mean, this is the kind of game you would play on like your Game Boy or something. When you're sitting around at the bus stop, you can just pull it out, play it for like 2 or 3 rounds, and put it away and walk away, and you go play it again. So if you look at it from that element, it's a home run. It's the perfect game to be like that because you don't have to worry about getting tied down. You're not going to be playing this for more than a couple of minutes. It's a 0% chance. So in terms of a quick bang, bang, bang gameplay, this is the game.
Let me tell you, I mean, I'm not going to say, I was about ready to just jump on you and tell you you're an idiot.
Why?
I'm not going to do that.
I agreed with you.
I'm not going to do that. The simplicity of this game is what makes it incredible. Most games want you to think that they're hard, but there's a catch that makes them easy. It's just like a golf course. When people design golf courses, they want people to look down the fairway and say, this is impossible. And then they actually perform the action. It's easier than they thought. And then they feel rewarded. Pigment takes that concept and turns it around. It says, all you have to do is jump on all these squares. We're going to make the game move at a snail's pace so you can think about what you're doing. There's no pressure. When you move, the bad guys are going to move. And then when you get into the game to actually play it, it is the most high energy, high paced. Yes, you can set and think for a second and look at all those angles, but it makes you want to jump into that square. Even though you see that saw blade coming down, you think you can get in that square and get back out, and you can't. And it's a trap. And if you fall in that trap, you have to learn from that and say, okay, I'm not going to do that again. So you're always getting a little bit better. I think the concept of this game is brilliant. I think that the visuals for it are top notch. This is
top notch. It's just showing fruit.
It's 16 colors.
Well, I'm just saying. I saw plenty of games that look better than this.
It's an incredibly colorful 16 color game.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I mean, but you don't think it wouldn't have hurt to have maybe some power ups in here, something to make you go faster, make the bad guys go slower, make some of the bad guys go away, make them freeze, something like that. It wouldn't have hurt my feelings.
Anything that you added to this would make the game not be simple. And this game lives and dies, in my opinion, on the simplicity of it. Aaron, what did Discord have to say about our incredible game Pigment?
I will say simple games for simple minds, the brand. That's the way I look at it.
How well did you do again?
No,
did you even unlock all the different fruits?
Well, I mean, I got plenty of fruit. Don't worry about that.
None. No,
so
you didn't.
we did get a review on this from Jocko, chimes in. For me, this sits somewhere in the Venn diagram of Kix, Frogger, and Cubert. Okay, maybe Super Hot as well. But this is still a unique game in its own right. It's quite clever in its varying level mechanics, and kind of plan as you might have. Your plan will quickly go out the window once a few spiky blades of death join the party. It is definitely one of those games where you just go one more try, and then it turns into 10 more tries, and suddenly 30 minutes later, you've passed in the blink of an eye. I also think when I am playing these games, what I would like to change and how I would improve it, and with this one, anything I came up with was instantly would have made the game worse. So this, for all its anxiety-inducing, swear-jar feeling goodness, is everything it sets out to be and achieves all of it. Now, I might have missed something as I only 100% completed the Apple level at this point, which was hella satisfying. But the only thing that might make this game even better is I added levels and mix and match some of the mechanics it introduced on each of the fruit levels. The only really tiny thing I would have is a quick restart from the level, but honestly, I genuinely cannot fault Pigment. It's fun, it's frustrating, and it keeps you coming back for more. And I'll be sorry when I complete it. 10 out of 10.
Bam. 10 out of 10.
Good score.
Now, Bachako, we can all agree, he hovers around that 7 out of 10 no matter how crappy or good the game. But he rarely gives out the perfect scores.
He does. So, I mean, he was into, I mean, like I said, I think it's a fun diversion.
It's a great
But
game.
I mean, I don't think it's a super fleshed out game experience.
I think it is a super fleshed out game experience.
There you go.
Well, okay, what did you bring to the table, almighty one?
Well, I thought I would bring a super fleshed out game experience to the party.
You missed.
In all honesty, when I went to look through games, so we had extra time.
Yeah.
And I picked my game before I did the disaster stream that night. So I had picked this one going in. Because I saw this, I thought, man, this looks like the kind of game I could get into. And so what I went with was a game called Spaceman 8. This was authored by a crew called Tic Tac Toad, which are Comet Bomb, and who does the code and design. The graphics and sound are done by a guy named... I don't know how to pronounce his name. Ilkke. Ickle. All these are spelled cool guy style for your cool guy convenience. This, of course, was just distributed on the Pico 8. And these guys, Tic Tac Toad, have a few other games you might want to look into if you like this one. Merry X Match, Micro Murder, and Worm Nom Nom. So these are the other offerings from this crew. So. This is a game where you play a blue-collar working man, just like we are, the Brent. And your job is to search through caves of asteroids for gems, various precious gems, and then bring them back to a company collection area. One of 3 company collection areas. Now, how does your man achieve this? Well, he's in space. So he's got a jetpack, if you will, that allows him to thrust in every direction. And so when you...
Up, down, left, right.
Right. So when you are playing this game, the arrow keys are, if you push up, for example, he'll thrust upwards. If you push down, he'll thrust downwards, and so forth. Pretty simple stuff. When he comes across one of these gems in the caves, a tether will release from Spaceman 8, attaching itself to the gem, and then he can move the gem back through the caverns to one of 3 possible drop-off points. Now, all 3 drop-off points don't appear in every asteroid. Some only have 1, some have 1 and 2. The way this works is you're a working man, so you're getting paid for every one of these gems that you retrieve. Once you come across, you can only have 1 gem at a time. Once you come across a gem and you tether it, you've got one of two things you can do at that point. You can either drop it off at one of the drop-off points, or you can just let it go.
Yep.
All right? If you let it go, you get nothing. If you drop it off at the drop-off point, you get paid. That's how you get paid in this game. And you will get whatever the drop-off point is how much money you get is determined. If you drop off a gem at a 1, that means you get, say, for example, if the gem was $25, it'll give you $25. If you drop it off at a drop-off 2, you'll get double, $50. And if you drop it off at a 3, you're going to get 3 times, $75. So those are definitely worth scouting out as you go through the caverns. Now, you're in space. So you're in a little spacesuit because you're Spaceman, and you have a limited amount of oxygen that you to deal with. There's a bar at the bottom of the screen. That's your oxygen bar. When that thing starts running down, you'll see a timer start up. And that timer is telling you how long you've got before you run out of oxygen. How do you leave the asteroid when you're ready to go? There's a exit portal, basically, machine that also is on the level. And if you fly into it, you are transported out of the asteroid and you move to the next day of the week or the lunch break,
period,
whatever it is, depending on what it is. After every day, after every 2 screens, you get to go to the store.
The company store.
The company store, which, you know, our pawpaw was a miner. This is not dissimilar from the way Pawpaw. I remember Pawpaw told me he got it was like a buck for every ton of coal he loaded. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, he didn't wear jetpacks very often.
No, he didn't wear jetpacks. He probably loved to have had one. And so once you get to a full day, you get to go to the company store where you can get some equipment. They've got a decent amount of stuff on offer. You can get a rebreather, which gives you more time to explore. You can also get extra oxygen tanks. You can get a compass, which sort of tells you where things are, sorta. You can get a torch, which helps you find easy money. And then you can get sonar as well. It gives you the whole deal on what you can get. You can also get Coke. I think it's one of the
I don't think it does anything.
I don't think it does anything either. You also will come across occasionally in the caverns. You will come across oxygen that's been left out. It says O2 on I think it's like an orange ball. You can hit that and you'll recoup some oxygen that you've lost in the cavern. Sometimes when you come near the side of the cavern, you will see little diamonds pop up, and you can pick those up for a few extra bucks. They're usually like $5, $10. That's what the sonar helps you find. But if you just fly near enough to the walls, they'll pop up. Then you've got to decide if it's worth your time and effort to go retrieve them, because sometimes they're tough to get to because they're right beside the walls. This game is a monument to the very cleverness of the people making it. It's not unlike a few other games we played. Sort of a mishmash of different games we played, like on the ZX Next, when we played that jetpack game. And I've played a few other games that were sort of like this, but one of the things this does is it takes this concept and executes it very well. The gravity simulation is top shelf. And something I didn't think I'd have to contend with was when you get, you want the biggest gems you could find. And early on, you're only going to find little gems, little green gems. But as you move through the game, you're going to find bigger gems, red ones and yellow ones. And the bigger the gem, keep in mind you're tethered to this thing. So it's like it weighs you down. Mm-hmm. And so you have to deal with that extra weight. And this game does a phenomenal job of simulating this extra weight. I mean, it's really quite remarkable on this sort of simple fantasy console that you can simulate this so well. The tether and stuff does an excellent job. When that thing starts going downward, you're getting jerked down with it.
Yeah.
When you start ricocheting off the walls and stuff, I mean, you're bouncing around. Every time you hit a wall, it costs you oxygen. So you can't just go around running into stuff because your oxygen will deplete. I liked a lot of what they had on offer. This is another game. Probably could have used a few more power-ups than it had. It had a decent amount, but I could have seen it having a few more. The fact that they put in the different valued bins adds to the fun because you can always, you can't always find the big gem beside the 1-up. Sometimes you want to carry this big bowling ball to the 3 and get that triple money. But is it worth the time it's going to take to get it there with the amount of auction you got? When you go to the store, the store sort of reminded me of Xenon 2. There's a weird alien at the store. He's very Xenon 2-esque. If you had the Amiga, the alien guy. But when you go to the store, what should you get? Should you go for the oxygen? Should you go for the radar or stuff like that, the sonar to help you to get more money? Which one will get you more money? There's a lot of trial and error as you go through this. What I ended up doing was early on, I get as much oxygen as I can, and then that way I felt like I could get pretty good money. But what will ultimately kill you in this game is the fact that you're going to get in a position where you're having trouble navigating the cavern. Some of the caverns have choke points in them that make them extremely difficult to go through, especially if you're tethered a big heavy thing. Sometimes they make it difficult to get to the exit. Sometimes it's hard to get there, and you have to really hope you can get there. And greed, what will ultimately kill you in this, because you don't want to leave empty-handed. You want that money, but you've got X amount of time. And I like a game like this. This game, absolutely, you could point press. You could absolutely be greedy, and you could absolutely wear out your welcome in some of these asteroids. If you play that way. And you could also leave right away and get no money.
Yeah.
But you don't want to do that because what are we doing if you do that? I really enjoyed this one, Brent. I thought this was a great game. And amongst all the games I played on the Pico 8 Friday, this was one of the ones I kept coming back to, not just because I picked it. I guess I just got lucky. But I thought this was a real fun game. Lots of laughs and a good time. What did you think about this one?
It's good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sing its praises quite as loudly as you are. It does have the greed element. From what I saw, because you played for a week, I'm sure you never finished a week, did you?
I came very close, but I don't remember.
Okay. You've got Monday, morning shift, evening shift, Tuesday, et cetera, et cetera. So, on Monday, the only bin that they have to drop gems in is a 1.
Yeah.
So, you're never going to get double money. And on the 1-1 Monday morning shift, there are 2 green gems, 1 red gem, and then you can find $5 gems if you fly close enough to the wall sometimes. So, you can never come out of Monday with enough money to buy everything from the shop
that we know of. There may be things that we don't know about in there, but I couldn't.
When you come out Monday, you're going to be able to buy 1 item, maybe 2, but realistically 1 item. And then you go back for Tuesday. Tuesday will add the 2 value bin. I think an extra green, and the cavern gets bigger. As you go along the week, it adds, then you'll add, I think, the yellow gems after that, and then the level 3 bin. Here's the kicker, though. As you advance through the week, the shop gets more expensive. So you are never in a position where you can say, ha, collected all this money. I'm just going to skip Monday and Tuesday. I'll just go straight to Wednesday so I can get all this money and buy out the shop. Does not work like that. When you go to the shop, if you're lucky, you'll have enough money to buy the 1 item you really want. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. You don't want to go there and clean it out.
I'm fine with that. What I have a problem with, though, is there is 0 map. There's 0 map in the game, and the caverns, you just start at a random place. The gems are in random locations, and the drop-offs and exit are in random locations. So, and your time is incredibly tight. There's never enough time to do everything you want. Never. So you find yourself saying, well, the first thing I need to do is find the exit so I won't die. At least this is what I did. I'll grab a gem if I can find it, but ultimately, I have to find out where the exit is. I didn't like that. I wish that there was a small map or an arrow or something to it. You don't have to show me anything else. Just show me where the exit is. And I don't even think any of the power-ups do that.
Well, the sonar or the compass that will tell you.
It doesn't tell you where the exit is, does it?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. I must have... Because I know I played with a lot of the items. Maybe I never got the compass.
I never had that much trouble finding the exit. I mean, even on the big places, you can find stuff okay. But you just got to take some of your time and look around.
Well, and that's the problem. If you buy the compass to know where I suppose the exit is, then you can't buy the oxygen tank, which is an absolute must. And the oxygen tank doesn't give you, like, double time. It gives you, like, 10% more. So...
It's risk and reward.
It's all push and pull. The physics for when you have an item tethered is pretty neat. I did find if there are two shops or two drop-off locations that are close to each other, they have a suction. So if you get close to them, they're going to pull your gem into it. How
close were they? I've never seen them that close.
Yeah, I think that's even in this footage that I recorded. There was a 1 and a 2 next to each other. I was trying to get the gem into the 2, and the 1 actually just sucked me into it. I was like, well, that sucks.
Could you tell, and I talked to people on Friday about this, were the asteroids or the meteors, whatever these things were that you're in, were they the same every time, or were they random? And were the placement of the stuff in them random? I was never 100% sure.
The placement is definitely
My
random.
memory was never good enough, because it seems like sometimes you'll get a big gem. Every once in a blue moon, you'll get lucky. There'll be a lot of good stuff beside, like, the 2, for example. But sometimes you've really got to put in the work.
Yeah.
So I think the placement
is definitely random.
And I think the maps aren't. I think that's how it goes.
Right. Fun factor for this game. This game is fun.
Yeah.
But it did... And I did improve as I played, which is good. But I never felt compelled to play again after I finished a particularly good run. If I go in there and just die real quick, I'll usually fire it back up. But because you can play this game for 20, 30 minutes when you've got, make it to like Wednesday or Thursday.
Better at it. Yeah, I agree.
So, and when I finished a run like that, I did not want to play anymore. I was fulfilled enough to say, okay, I'm ready to move on. So, I thought it was good. I thought the graphics were good.
Yeah.
I thought that the
presentation's real nice. The opening screen's nice.
The physics effects is really nice. The weightier gems feel weighty. For me, the fun factor wasn't there like it was for Pigment.
I thought this was quite a bit better than Pigment, I'll be honest with you. I just thought this was a real game that you could sit around and play. Pigment is a game that you'd play like when you're waiting for somebody for like 2 minutes. You could play it. It's like for example, on my phone I've got Blackjack and I've got that football game. Blackjack for when I'm waiting a few minutes, football for when I got more time. This is a game you're not going to want to sit down and play at the best stop. You want to have a good while to play. I mean, they're two different types of games.
Yeah, because if you get on a good run, you want to finish it, and there's no saving or anything.
No, so I'm not poo-pooing Pigment, but I'm saying one's a quick play game, and one's a longer play game.
Well, I think we have just different aspects of what we're wanting from our game. I found Spaceman 8 frustrating, where Pigment was frustrating, but I wanted to get back at the game. I wanted to go, oh, you got me that time, but I'm going to get you this time, Pigment. I didn't feel that way with Spaceman 8.
Pigment made me want to have, like, some fruit to eat. We did get a review, again, from Pajaka, who looked at Spaceman 8. He said, just like real life, the laws of physics of this game will do whatever it can to screw up your day. If you've ever played a game like Gravatar, then you'll get the rough gist of the game mechanic, but this game adds more. Spaceman 8 also bolts on some time management, plus risk-reward, so you genuinely have to consider a few factors. How long do you have left? How much do you think you can push your luck? And ultimately, how good are you at piloting that jetpack? While I enjoyed the game, I personally found that there was too much left to fate. On some runs, you could get lucky with the gem and drop-off point placements, and others you'd be left exploring and come away with nothing. And if
That-
you don't know
that
where the
happens.
exit is, then you can easily have a good chunk of your time early on just finding the darn thing, giving you very little time to go on treasure hunting. I had some runs written off due to sheer bad luck of item placement and level generation. Naturally, you can buy upgrades to make your life easier, but almost through your first week on a good run before you'll have enough cash to get anything really useful. I disagree with that. Big time. You
Oh,
can get
no,
something useful after your first day.
Yeah, I agree. You can get an item after Monday. For sure.
Ultimately, this is fun and offers a good challenge most of the time, but too much randomness spoils an otherwise a great game. A few tweaks could make this an excellent game instead of just a good game. 7 out of 10. I like that's a way too low to Pajako scale. I'll be honest with you. I think this game. Now, I will say I did read about some game bugs in this but I never had any, so I can't.
I got ping pong once.
I never had any. I never had any problems
Yeah.
to where the game locked up or didn't work.
Oh no!
But
Nothing like that. There's some of the slots that you want to maneuver through.
Yeah.
If you hit them, you'll just ping pong until you're dead.
Oh, I never had that happen to me. I just think that this game has a lot going for it. I think it's definitely worth trying. By the way, I should mention, in case I didn't, 2017 on this. So this is an early offering. This was only 2 years out of the gate for the entire fantasy console. So I think it's one you can absolutely look into. With all that said,
Look into both of them. They're free. We'll link it below.
yeah. Did you get to try anything else on the Pico 8
Yes.
this week?
Yeah. I think most notably, I found a Jungle Hunt game that was really
played
well
that.
done. However, it was still just Jungle Hunt. So
Yeah, I did. It was real. I thought they did a pretty good job on that one.
yeah, they did.
I'm going to point out a couple of the ones that I thought deserves a look for people at home. Berserk, I mentioned. I thought that was good. It was hard, but I thought it was quite a bit of fun. I want to talk about the Bubble Bobble. What the Pico 8 was quite good. If that's your cup of tea, they had a game called Pico Off Road. It was sort of like Iron Man Stewart's Off Road with
I
a
saw
scrolling
that.
screen. That was a little odd.
Zoomed in. Yeah.
Tiny Hawk Pico Skater.
I almost picked that, but I thought
I'm
this is
surprised.
too goofy.
I thought you might pick that
Yeah.
one. Listen, here are two huge winners. And I want to go out on these. X-Zero and Digger. These are both from a guy named Paranoid Cactus. X-Zero is sort of like a Turrican style game, and Digger is apparently it's a port of an old PC DOS game. Both these games are outstanding. Digger is sort of like a Mr. Do, but with some extra stuff. I mean, I was real impressed. But there are plenty of great games. There Galactic War, Vacay Volley. There are plenty to choose from. Like I said, if you're interested in having a look at what all these different games were, you can check out my disaster stream from last Friday, or you can go to the link below, which I'll link into the show notes, that will take you to the page where you can play all these games for free in your browser. And if you're so inclined, throw a few bucks at the authors.
Yeah,
They're always down.
and come back and write us your review, your opinion on the two games we reviewed here. I think that'd be really interesting.
I'd also like to hear what your thoughts are on just the whole concept of the fantasy console.
Yeah.
Are you like me? Do you wish these people would put their efforts toward a real existing and underutilized console or computer? Or do you think this is the way to go moving forward? I'd love to hear your thoughts. So you know what that means. That's another ARG in the books, Brent.
Yep.
What's it time for?
Lunch.
Right. Where's the fruit salad?
What did you add, Aaron, to the wheel this week?
This week we had a suggestion here. I think it's from our buddy Pajako, since he often writes in. I thought we'd throw him a bone here. Gremlin graphics games. These are games that will be from the Gremlins crew out of the UK.
The Gremlins graphics games.
Yeah.
We'll see if it comes up.
I'm going to go to that carnival as soon as we're done.
We got...
We didn't get that. The winner of the event this week, let me pull it out of here. Oh, boy. This is going to be fun for us. It's multi-sports games, but not epics. Not epics. This is a Chris Folge joint. So we'll be playing games that are the multi-sport track and field type variety. That'd be one, by the way. But not epics. So that means arcades are wide open. and anything that's now we're gonna make these real world sports, right? No alien sports, any of that stuff. We're gonna make these a real world sports.
They have to be something that could exist in the real world.
All
yes.
right, bar games. Here I come.
No.
So that'll be in 2 weeks on ARG Presents. However, the rotation spins, and next week, Sunday, May 11th, it'll be time to get back over to Sir Clive's favorite, R. Sinclair, and we will play the game Travel Through Time. This game looks fun. It's a driving sort of game.
Oh.
And I haven't played it, but I saw the loading screen looked awesome. I believe it's from 2015 or something like that.
It's a modern.
It's a more modern. This is on the original ZX. So this should be a lot of fun. That's R. Sinclair next week. Same bat time, same bat channel for that particular item. And again, 2 weeks for multi-sports, non-epics games on ARG Presents. Bam. Any parting thoughts on the Pico 8 before we move on to the final thoughts of the show?
I definitely think people should check this out. It's free, and I think there are a lot of good developers out there putting out some really clever concepts.
I agree. As iffy as I am on the whole concept of fancy consoles, if you're going to have one, the Pico 8's your man. This thing's got games for days.
It does.
I played 21 games on Friday, and I just scratched the surface. I skipped over tons of stuff that looked awesome. So I'll definitely come back that way again. And I wouldn't be more than happy to have that come back up on the wheel. We could do that one again and again in the future. So, that's another Gina Books. Any final thoughts before we take this to the house?
Nope.
All right, good night, everybody. Have a good week, and we will catch you next week for R. Sinclair. Bye!
We got it going. With a spin of the wheel, we'll uncover our fate and stream it to you all in one take. We tend to be loud and we fight quite a bit, but it's an unscripted show, so you get what you get. If we stopped it right now and we just walked away, we'd be back next week, 'cause we just can't wait to play.